It is truly a pleasure to welcome you to this Young Citizens of the World conversation, a forum dedicated to learning, dialogue, and global understanding. And today we are honored to be joined by a distinguished parliamentarian and respected voice in international affairs, the Honorable Lars-Christian Brask of Denmark. Mr. Brask, thank you for being with us today. I know how valuable your time is in the public service, and we are very grateful that you are here with us today. So Denmark and Canada share a long-standing relationship grounded in democratic values, respect for the rule of law, and a deep commitment to peace and international cooperation. And this conversation is especially meaningful because it is addressed to young people, future leaders who are learning how diplomacy, dialogue, and responsibility shape the world they will inherit. And we want to leave them with a better world, as you know. So, Mr. Brask, I'd like to begin with a question on global leadership.
Hi, Mr. Brask. My name is Nikki Hoffman, and I'm a French immersion teacher at École White City, Saskatchewan, Canada. And I'm here with one of my students, Veronica, who would like to ask you a question.
Hi, what were your reflections on Prime Minister Mark Carney's recent speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos?
Carney is a true statesman, eloquent in his delivery and quite clear with his goals and both the opportunities and the threats that are in today's world, how we should unite the middle powers and, in Denmark's case, the small powers. And as you started out saying, the common values, what binds us together, the trust in international law and order, etc. And it was, for all of us in Europe, it was sort of an eye-opener when we just listened to another president. It was true statesmanship, and I would be so proud if he was my prime minister.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that thoughtful perspective. And listen, it's important. These things are important in today's day and age. And I'd now like to turn to the topic that has raised many questions among young people.
Hi, I'm Bella. Could you explain to our young audience what is currently happening regarding Greenland and what Greenland represents historically, culturally, and strategically to Denmark?
The president of the US, he wanted possession of Greenland. He wanted to have part of Kingdom of Denmark. If you want to put it in American or Canadian terms, it would be like us wanting British Columbia or Texas. And he was very forceful, threatening, intimidating in basically saying that the U.S. needed Greenland. Sort of no discussion. The U.S. needed possession of Greenland. That has sort of been paused now because it's now going down a diplomatic track because the EU plus the UK stood together. We had help from Canada, basically saying, hang about. This is not on. You don't threaten. You don't intimidate a partner, a friend, an ally that have fought 2 wars with you and lost more soldiers per population than any other country. Somebody that stood by you and had diplomatic relationships for the last 225 years this year, it is not on. But then on to another part of your question. What is Greenland? Greenland is the world's biggest island. Greenland is an independent country within the Kingdom of Denmark. But the Vikings first visited and settled in Greenland more than 1,000 years ago. And then the king of, at that time, Denmark and Norway, sort of 350 years ago, sent an expedition to sort of christen and claim the territory under the Danish crown. And then if we fast speed forward, it became an independent country within the Kingdom of Denmark in 1953. And people living in Greenland, they have Danish passports. There's a long history of exchange in the schools and the younger classes, etc. So we learn each other's culture because we have southern Denmark that is some 1,000 kilometers away from Greenland, but there is a close relationship. And you know, if you are very ill or if you want to have a higher education, you go from Greenland to southern Denmark. So there's a long history and sort of at least 305 years, and you can even take it back more than 1,000 years.
Thank you for that insightful perspective and you know, teaching our students what beyond headlines, what does it mean, and having them getting engaged in world politics. It's so important. World affairs are so important to all of us. So extremely important. Thank you for that insightful response. So building on that, many of our students are learning about diplomacy and conflict resolution.
Hi, Mr. Brask. Hvordan går det? I'm Mr. Ford, and I'm with two of my students in Saskatoon with a question for you.
Hi, my name is Hannah.
And my name's Amelia.
From your perspective,
What would be the most constructive?
and ideal solution to the current situation?
Tag.
Farvel.
Before fully answering your question, I think I will start with a Winston Churchill quote. He said, talk jaw to jaw is better than war. That's what diplomacy is all about. You sit down, you find out the different standpoints, you find out where there's common ground, and you try to solve it via dialogue and discussions. And that's where diplomacy is so much better than, let's call it social media diplomacy. We've seen a lot of that lately. And each morning when we wake up in Europe, there's sort of a new situation in the social media diplomacy we got to deal with. But we've had a meeting, the Danish foreign minister, the Greenlandic foreign minister, with Rubio and Vice President Vance. At that meeting, the conclusion was we will continue down the diplomatic track. We will create a high-powered working group. Then Trump and his spokesperson had some other issues, and then Mark Rutte from NATO met with Trump, and now we are back at the diplomatic track, where you talk, where you go in dialogue, and where you try to solve the situation. And by the looks of it, it seems like NATO and Europe have agreed to part funding or certainly increase the money spent on the Arctic. And that could be a big win for the president of the US. And if you're a little bit tongue-in-cheek, you could also say he's now solved his 9th crisis in his first year of presidency. But the good thing is we are now talking to each other, with each other, at a high level, and by that avoiding all this back and forward with press conferences and impulsive interviews in airplane and social media comments here and there that sort of disturb what is the more traditional track of negotiating.
Thank you. Thank you for that response. And I've always said a good conversation is 80% listening. And it's so important to listen and collaborate and cooperate and do it in a peaceful manner. And I think we're going down the right path. So thank you for that. As we approach the end of our conversation, I'd like to bring this back to our young audience.
Do you have a message of friendship for our Canadian and American young people? And can you share why Denmark is such a wonderful country to visit?
On why Denmark is so good to visit and why I like it so much, I might be a bit biased, although I lived 15 years in the US and in the UK. But let's start there. Denmark is a very peaceful country. It's a very clean country. It's very orderly. There's no discrimination. There's no violence. So the aspect of it as well. When you visit Denmark, Danes are actually quite interested in meeting people from foreign countries and learn from them. And then it's a flat country, but it's a beautiful country, and you're no longer than 20 minutes away from water at any part of southern Denmark, i.e. Denmark.
Mr. Brask, thank you sincerely for your time, your insights. I'll leave you with one last word if you wish. And thank you for your generosity in speaking directly to our students. Your calm, thoughtful approach to international issues is exactly the kind of leadership we need today and that young people need to see and hear. Students, I'd like to say thank you for joining us, for listening thoughtfully, and for engaging with the world with curiosity and respect. I always said the way we measure intelligence is by curiosity. Be curious, get out there, learn. This is how global citizenship begins and shapes the world. Mr. Brask, last word to you.
I sort of had, I mentor a lot of young, typically business people. But what I always say, and you already taken the one word, be curious, be interested, ask questions, be open-minded. Be open to other views and impressions. And the last thing, be source critical. Who is saying it and why are they saying it? And then form your own opinion. But you said it, be curious, be open-minded. I think that's what it's all about. And then, I always say, and follow your dreams. It's way easier to get up in the morning if you are involved in something that you find exciting. So follow your dreams as much as you can.
So important, well said, Mr. Brask. And especially today, be curious in a sense and verify the sources. We talked about social media, and youth has to verify the sources. Where does that information or news come from? How credible is the source? Be curious at every level. I think it's so important today. And like I said, intelligence in many dictionaries is measured and defined by curiosity. The more curious you are, the more you learn, the more you're exposed to. So it's so important. And this is why to global citizenship begins with learning, listening, curiosity, exploring, and travel too. Hopefully we can come to Denmark and look at ourselves eye to eye and shake hands. And I thank you and congratulate you and continue your exceptional, excellent work. And thank you once again. It's very valuable for you to join us here and with all our students around the world.